Time, my viewers, isn't it that time again? It seems that if it was almost time, if Half-Life 3 will ever release, we are now getting hope as what these people are currently saying right now. Chat, we are getting Half-Life 3 hope. All right, there is hope that we will get Half-Life 3. This is day one of and until Half-Life 3 releases, I will end the series. Half-Life 3. Hold on, did I say Half-Life 1 or 3? I don't know. But again, we are getting Half-Life 3
Playing on iPhone? Now you can
shut
play
up.
Half-Life
Alright.
3. It seems just right around the corner. So I thought that it may be a good time to just refresh myself and everyone else about the last known whereabouts of every character in Half-Life series.
Hold on.
In the next entry series. So I'll go about this by going in release order of each game and then appearance order in said game. Of course, there might be some slight inaccuracies, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal. To elaborate on what I did say earlier, though, the point of this is to discuss each character and see if or how it may affect the story in Half-Life 3, whether directly or indirectly. So maybe it's just as simple as they're mentioned or a thing they've done plays a role, or just, they absolutely don't appear at all. Who knows? I'll also discuss some speculation about some of their whereabouts, and if I think they'll even make an appearance at all. Of course, Half-Life 3 will have some new NPCs, so it may be possible that outside of the main Half-Life 2 cast, no one else returns, which would be a shame, but is also totally possible. But without any further delay, let's get started with Half-Life 1. Also, by the way, quick spoilers for the entire Half-Life series, including Alex. Starting off, we have Gordon Freeman himself.
Obviously,
Gordon most recently appeared in the ending of Half-Life Alyx, waking up after the Advisor
obviously he'll
attack
be
from
there.
episode 2.
All right, that's clearly
I wasn't
the
kidding when I
play
said that
as.
there's going to be spoilers in this video, because we're starting with one, alright? Here, Eli hands Gordon his crowbar as the game then fades away again. Gordon will obviously be the protagonist in Half-Life 3. I think that goes without saying. Gordon is, of course, the first character that you ever encounter in the entire game, as he is the first, introduction as you place him in the first game, and right as it starts up, you are Gordon, so I don't think I need to explain much here. I'm going to be skipping over Barney, Eli, and Kleiner for now, as they were only retconned into the first game rather than actually being in the first game, so we'll talk about them at a later point in this video. But next up is Gina Cross, having appeared as the training course instructor in the first game. Gina was last seen in Half-Life Opposing Force, where she was seen dead underwater in Zen by Adrian Shepard. So, and I know a lot of people say that that's not actually Gina, or that's not canon, and that Decay did come afterwards. But being completely honest here, I feel like they would have already brought back Gina Cross if she had any level of importance. I mean, would Gina Cross not be the perfect substitute for Judith Mossman? If they wanted Gina Cross alive and meant for her to be alive,
that's true.
Judith would not be a character.
Yeah, Judith would.
Mossman would not be there. It would have been Gina. Just saying. I just don't think Gina Cross is going to come back. I'm sorry to all the people thinking that she will. I would bet money on her not returning. The next and possibly most important character in the entire series is the G-Man. The G-Man is seen throughout the first game and actually throughout pretty much all of the games as well, and is last seen in the ending to Half-Life Alyx alongside Gordon in Hangar Bay, where you can see him off to your left side, which I think a lot of people actually overlooked when I first played at Half-Life Alyx, including me. I had no idea he's just watching it, but yeah, there he is. So, given the events of Half-Life Alyx, I think we can presume that the G-Man will play a massive role in Half-Life 3. I mean, based on what we have going on right now, Alex isn't even there anymore, so And it's because of the G-Man, so I have a strong feeling that the G-Man is going to be pretty important, especially given how he has been in all the other games. But like I said, it's like Gordon. It goes without saying. Also, it's not much of a character, but I would also like to bring up Denialinth, as they do technically count as a character, as there is only one of them, and they are the final boss of the first game. But I don't expect any more appearances. Maybe brief mentions of it. I mean, after all, Denialinth does die at the end of Half-Life 1, so unless there's some time travel shenanigans, I don't really see it returning. Although it would be cool if that were the case. But like I said, there probably will be some sort of mention to Denialinth. I noticed a couple mentions of it in Half-Life 2, so I think you can expect more to say. There's actually a drawing of it in Half-Life Alyx as well. So I don't think it'll not come up, but I don't think it'll play any real role in the next game. Next up, we have Half-Life Opposing Force. So starting off, we have Adrian Shepard, the protagonist of the game. He was last seen in an Osprey floating in stasis after being left there by the G-Man. It's unclear if Valve has any future plans for Shepard, though many fans would like to see his return in future games, and me here as well. And considering his ambiguous ending, it is possible he may return in Half-Life 3. Now, the likelihood of that is unknown, of course, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities. And I think that's the main thing to take away with the potential of Adrian returning, is that it's not likely, but it's not impossible, nor a stretch to say that he could return.
Day one.
Especially given how much the G-Man shenanigans are kind of going on
it's
right
doing
now.
good, man.
Series,
it's doing good.
It would kind of make sense, actually. Next, we have 2 for 1.
Camera,
Dwight
focus,
T. Barnes
please.
and Drill Instructor Sharp. These two appeared in the boot camp in Opposing Force and never passed that.
All right,
Heavily doubt they'll ever make a return. Especially if Adrian does. If Adrian Shepard doesn't make a return, there's absolutely zero chance these guys return. There's just no point for them. They're drill instructors at a boot camp. Like I said to start a video, not every character is going to return. And I think, especially looking at the Half-Life series, there's a lot of characters who were clearly meant only to be there like once or twice. They were not meant to be mainstays. They were not meant to be reoccurring. They were a one-off. And I believe that Dwight T. Barnes and Drill Instructor Sharp are 2 such cases of this. And I grouped them together because, well, you know,
let's go.
Dude,
you know what? You're getting modded.
And finally, for Opposing Force, is Otis Lowry. Lowry? I have no idea to pronounce that. But Otis briefly helps Adrian before staying behind during the chapter. Oh, shit, I actually don't know what chapter it is. Put it on screen, editing me.
What?
Otis's fate is completely unknown, however. So while it would be cool if he were to return, it's also highly unlikely. But I think it's one of those cases where it would be cool, kind of like Adrian returning. I think a lot of fans would like it. And it's just that Otis made such a brief appearance in Opposing Force that I just don't really know if they even want to bring it back, or if they even remember him, you know. At the end of the day,
I want to see Half-Life 3
sometimes
DLC
things don't get added, like characters might not be reintroduced simply due to the fact.
Chat, I want to see a Half-Life 3 DLC if it ever like becomes a thing, and it's probably gonna be named Half-Life Otis, dude.
The literal creators forgot that character exists.
That has to be a
I'm
DLC.
not saying that's the case for someone like Adrian Shepard, but I am saying that may be the case for someone like Otis Lowry. After all, he's a much less notable character. No offense. Half-Life Blue Shift. Fuck. Half-Life Blue Shift is up next, and with that, we have Barney Calhoun. Barney made his last appearance in Half-Life 2 Episode 1, where he took the train out of City 17 before Gordon and Alex. Barney is presumed to be alive, though his whereabouts are...
Sorry about that. My dad just walked in. Anyway. Wait, crap.
Are currently unknown as of Alex's ending. It's not known how
was a door all the way.
Gordon, but it's highly likely he will at some point in Half-Life 3, especially as his voice actor, Mike Spear, same guy who voices the G-Man as well, seems to be completely on board with any future Half-Life projects. It's not like he's not going to return because they can't find a suitable voice actor or anything. Also, it should be pointed out that Barney never appears at the White Forest base at any point, but we spend a good amount of time there. So unless Barney just shows up, you know, after the ending of Half-Life Alyx or something like that, who knows? Which actually wouldn't make much sense, because why did Gordon and Alex, the people who left later, got into a whole accident, spent a whole long detour having to revive Alex. Like, I guess they did find a car, but still, with all that time wasted, I feel like Barney should have returned to the base first. So, who knows what Barney's up to? So the next three I can all tackle
hell, we
together as
can-
they were all seen last together.
I mean, we can quite. I mean, in episode 2, right after you fight off all the Striders, for like, you'll hear a voice clip of Barney Calhoun that says, "Good job, Gordon." And here's the thing, Barney's not even there. And like, when I first heard that, I was like, Barney, where's Barney? And I was like trying to look around looking for Barney, and he wasn't there. And I was like, what the fuck?
Ever. Dr. Rosenberg, Walter Bennett, and Dr. Simmons. These three escaped Black Mesa with Barney at the end of Blue Shift. Considering how Barney is still alive in Half-Life 2 era, these scientists may still be alive. Though, seeing how they're not with the rest of the Resistance, it is likely they won't return. And in all truth, they are, well,
I'm getting
at
a
least
hope
from what we
for
can tell,
Dr.
all pretty
Rosenberg.
old guys at this point, and Half-Life 2 takes place 20 years after the first game, so it's possible that they might have even just died of old age. Especially in the case of Dr. Rosenberg, however, it would be neat to see them return. However, like so many other characters so far, and for, well, going forward in this video, I just don't think they'll return, no matter how cool or not it will be. It's just unlikely.
Sorry, editing not demo here. I just realized when editing, I completely forgot to talk about Miller. All you need to know, he's just the security guard training hologram guy.
Yeah.
Or the guy who does the hologram for the training
Yeah, I know that.
room.
I didn't even
in
know
Half-Life
his name
Blue
was
Shift.
Miller.
That's all I can really say. I don't think there's much important about this
I
guy.
did
Sorry
not
about
know.
forgetting him. Whoops.
And finally, for Blue Shift is Harold. Harold is a scientist who originally was with Rosenberg during the Resonance Cascade. Barney finds Harold, who hid in an office, but Harold soon succumbs to his injuries as he was attacked by the HCU. So Harold, I don't think will play any future roles in the series, as his only connection seems to be with Rosenberg, and if Rosenberg doesn't return, well, I mean, Harold's dead, so he'd only be mentioned anyways, so I bet most of you probably didn't even know what his name was, which, I mean, I really didn't either until I researched
if you
this
see a
video,
guy
so
that
hey,
is
we're all in the
bleeding,
same
you know,
boat here,
well,
huh? Starting
I mean,
with
if you
Decay, we have Colette
on.
Green. Green is a
I mean, if you see a guy that is about to die, like, that is, like, sitting near a wall, I mean, he's about to die, man. I'm sorry.
research associate working with Gina. Colette was last seen with Keller and Gina after escaping a harmonic reflux, at which point the game fades to black. Due to this fact, it's ambiguous as to whether or not Colette is out there somewhere, considering how Gina was last seen in Zen and, well, dead. It could be assumed Colette was also there with her in Zen. Some theorize she may be under control of the G-Man, though that remains to actually be seen. I think there is a high potential, though, for Colette to return. Or, when I say high potential, I mean just as likely as Adrian Shepard.
I do have hope for Green. I do have hope for Green. Chat, who has Green? I have high, absolute bonkers high hopium for Colette Green to be in Half-Life 3.
And I say that for the same reason. It's an ambiguous fate. And the fact that she was a protagonist of one of the games just makes her, I think, a little more likely to return in some aspect. As mentioned earlier, Dr. Keller was last seen with Gina and Colette in the Gamma Labs, which is where the harmonic reflux took place. Dr. Keller's fate is unknown, and unlike Gina and Colette, it is not likely that he made it to Zen, nor did he survive at all, considering his disability keeping him mostly in wheelchair bound. During the times of the 7-Hour War and following, it's very unlikely he would have made it, especially on top of the fact that he is clearly already an old man by the time of the...
Speaking on Dr. Richard Keller, I actually have a question if he's even in this mod, because I can't tell. Hold on. Trying to find it real quick. It's in this map I found. The mod is named Mission Improbable, and in that mod, there is a character that is in a wheelchair. All right, there's a character in there that is in a wheelchair, and I can. But here's the one difference. Well, obviously he can move his wheelchair by using a controller, but here's the thing. He uses a robot voice to speak, which people that have disabilities can possibly gain. And I cannot tell if this guy is the. Hold on, I'm trying to hear me out. They just give us a new game, either that is either Half-Life or Portal, but instead a game that brings both games together and more. I'm expecting to see Gordon Freeman wield a portal gun.
Okay, and just likely would not be alive by the time of Half-Life 3. Now, I probably should mention this now, and I briefly mentioned it earlier. There could be time travel shenanigans involved. After all, we know that the G-Man can do that type of stuff. So when I say that these characters won't return, I'm mainly going off of the premise of we're just going to continue the story going along. If there's any sort of time travel shenanigans and Gordon ends back up at Black Mesa, it's very possible and likely even that a lot of these characters might return in some way. But we're not.
I'm just going to correct you. It's pronounced Gordon.
I'm going to be speculating like that, as after all, we have absolutely no idea if that will be something or not. I'm just assuming that the story is going to progress forward with like the Borealis or something like that. Also, I've been forgetting to mention this the whole time during the video.
You tried your best to spell it.
Let's not forget that Black Mesa was destroyed only about 2.5 days, or maybe just short of 3 days, after the Resonance Cascade happened. If the person didn't survive getting out of Black Mesa before then, they're definitely dead. So even if Keller was fine for a little bit after like Decay's ending, I don't know how far off though the ending of Decay is from the destruction of Black Mesa, although I think it is at least a day or two after the fact, because Decay I think happens only within the first day of the incident. So, you know, hey, maybe he did have time to escape. After all, we don't even know about the 15 years after the Black Mesa incident until
chat. What game do you hope Gordon Freeman will become a skin in? Like, do you think he'll be a skin in Fortnite? Do you think he'll be a skin in Call of Duty? Like, what game do you hope for Gordon Freeman to Fortnite? Yeah, I'm also hoping for Gordon Freeman to be in Fortnite as well.
Till Half-Life Alyx picks up. So who knows what happens in 15 years? All we know is that 7.
One thing. Yeah, I would. But one thing for sure is that Gordon would definitely be a battle pass skin. It is obviously sure that he would be a battle pass skin. And Alex and the G-Man would be in the item shop. Yeah, it would. And pretty sure for like so if you guys probably already know this, but you can like customize like cars like that you currently drive. So imagine Gordon's customizable car, or like the customizable car that you can buy in the item shop. Imagine the customizable car that you can place onto your car would be the Jolpy in Half-Life from Half-Life Episode 2. Yeah, the Jolpy would definitely be a car skin.
Now a war
Customizable
happened,
car.
and Combine took over, and that's pretty much all we're given. We don't actually know about a lot of the fates and occurrences of a lot of characters during this time. So who knows? Maybe we'll get a future Half-Life game where it will explore these loose ends. Next up for Decay is X-8973 and
Oh, from the
R-4913.
bonus level.
These are the two playable Vortigons in the bonus level in Decay. After retrieving the Zen crystal in this short mission, the two return to Zen. What happens after is completely unknown. Well, it would be cool if they returned as Vortigon allies, considering how early on they were last seen during the Black Mesa incident. It's very possible they were killed at some point, especially considering the Combine's treatment of the Vortigons later on. Although it would be cool if any future Vortigons we run into, or maybe one we've already have run into, could be these same Vortigons from this mission. There's absolutely nothing backing that up, but hey, it would be cool if like the Lone Vorge or the Victory Mine one were these same Vortigons. Who knows? I'm not saying same as each other, I mean the same Vortigons as in Decay. I realized that my wording there was a bit off. And now we have one last character from Decay, and that is Dr. Kleiner, who was actually mentioned in the manual for Decay, though wasn't seen. Kleiner was last seen in the rocket launch room at the White Forest
sure he's
base,
obviously
seeing off
gonna be in
Gordon and
there.
Alex
I
as
mean,
they prepare
it's
to leave for the Borealis at the end of
We
episode
see him
2.
last
Kleiner is
time
alive
in
as of most
episode
recent,
3.
so it's assumed
No,
he
not
will
episode-
have a role to play in
Episode
Half-Life.
2. There you go.
Also,
Episode
due to
2.
his close proximity, I would imagine Gordon and Eli speak to Kleiner right at the start of Half-Life 3 or pretty soon into the game. And with that, we conclude our Gold Source era of Half-Life, as we can now move on to the Source era, aka the Half-Life 2 era. First up, we have Dr. Wallace Breen. Breen
Okay.
was last seen
Wait, hold on.
killed.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one there. The Chell Gordon talking emo where they just jump.
Quote unquote, in the Citadel in Half-Life 2's finale. Breen's fate is a little
He's dead.
confusing to explain, especially if you don't know the whole Breen grub stuff. But to simplify it, in some original scripts for episode 3, they contained Breen in his host body where he begs Gordon and Alex for mercy, and basically is in this weird little grub form. Like I said, it's really complicated, and we have no idea if this is still going to be the case or canon or not, as after all, this seemed to be a huge idea from Mark Laidlaw, who is the main writer of the Half-Life series, but he no longer works at Valve. So, who knows, maybe
He choked on an AR2 energy ball.
all of Valve, like Gabe Newell, just really fucking hated this idea, and now that he's gone, they cannot use the idea, or maybe they love the idea and want to stick with it. We have no clue. I mean, right now, we only even have leaks and rumors that a new Half-Life game is being worked on, which is presumably Half-Life 3. As if it weren't, I wouldn't be making this video. But also, I mean, it's about time to make Half-Life 3, you know what I mean? But due to the whole Breen grub thingy, it's unclear if he will or will not return in Half-Life 3, as it all comes down to whether or not they decide to do the Breen grub thing. If they do, then he'll make one last appearance as the slug thing, in which you presumably kill him, or maybe it'll be a Jeff situation in Half-Life Alyx, where you could choose to kill or not to kill it. Or, you know, they just say, yeah, Breen fucking died in the Citadel. Honestly, Half-Life really likes unceremonious fates for characters, I've found, so maybe it is just...
That could be a weapon. That could be a weapon right there. Combustible lemon. It's a lemon. But it has a grenade pin on it.
It's going to be that, which I'm okay with, you know? Next up is also one of the most important characters in Half-Life, and potentially the most important in Half-Life 3, and that is Alyx Vance. Alyx was originally last seen grieving over the loss of her father at White Forest Base in the hangar. However, at the end of Half-Life Alyx, she is hired by the G-Men and is no longer in the present moment. It seems pretty clear from all this that Alyx will play a huge role in Half-Life 3, especially seeing how mad Eli gets over the current situation. And speaking of Eli, Dr. Eli Vance was also originally last seen at the White Forest, where he was killed by an...
Is it possible to know too much about Portal games? I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you've seen some key moments in Portal, or like just played the game yourself, I mean, I guess it's possible to know too much about Portal games.
advisor. However, in the Half-Life Alyx ending, he gets revived, and he's last seen handing Gordon the crowbar. Based on what Eli says at this
That could be the intro for Half-Life 3. Not gonna lie. That could be the intro.
point in the game, Eli's goal here seems to really be to retrieve Alyx back from the G-Men and potentially defeat the G-Men in the process. And finishing off the mainstays of Half-Life 2, we have Judith Mossman. Mossman was last seen in Half-Life 2 Episode 1, but technically also Episode 2, both over the same video transmission that Alyx gets at the Citadel.
I was pissed when Judith betrayed me. I was just absolutely pissed when Judith betrayed me. But now me and her are cool. Me and her are cool now that she freed me and
Let's start with
Alyx
Episode
and
1.
Eli.
This video cuts out as the Borealis base Judith is in is then ambushed by the Combine. It's unclear what happens to Judith past this point, as we don't know if the Combine's mission is to kill or simply capture her. Dr. Mossman will most likely return in
Chat, imagine if they just make Entropy 02 canon. Imagine that. Imagine if they made Entropy 02 canon. Portal 3, where we see the Apture location in Ohio.
due to her appearance at the Borealis, which is presumably the main focus of Half-Life 3. And of course, you could also, if you wanted to, say that Entropy 02 is at least somewhat canon or something, and the Combine's goal is to capture her, but like I said, who knows? After all, Entropy 02 is non-canon at the end of the day. No matter how much you may like or dislike the game, it isn't canon. Next up, we have Dog. Dog was the final character to appear alongside Gordon in the White Forest hangar. Dog's entire point of existence is to protect Alyx, and considering how Alyx's whole situation right now seems to be, well, in danger, Dog will most likely accompany Gordon for at least a good while in Half-Life 3. And Dog was meant to play a role in Episode 3 larger than the previous games, from what I've heard. So I don't think it's a stretch to say Dog will be vital in Half-Life 3. And I mean, he is at the ending of Half-Life Alyx, so it'd actually be weird for him to not be there. So I don't know why I'm saying that. Next up, we have a couple minor side characters from Half-Life 2, Father Grigori and Odessa Cubbage. Starting with Grigori,
I'm getting hope for Mr. Grigori. I'm getting hope for Grigori. This guy, dude, this guy was the absolute GOAT compared to Barney and Alyx. This guy, dude, please, Valve, just bring him back. You have to bring him back right now.
last scene
I mean, hey, it could be possible that we might be able to see Grigori again.
in opening the gate for Gordon to leave Ravenholm. Now, according to leaks, there were two separate games at different times which featured a return to Ravenholm, at least one of them having Adrian as its protagonist, and maybe that's how they reintroduced Adrian to the series, if they ever re-bring that idea back. I mean, hey, I'd love a zombie shooter type of game in Half-Life. And in both of these versions, Grigori is pretty much meant to appear and kind of guide the player throughout Ravenholm. And in one version, he would actually become infected, and in trying to heal himself, becomes mutated and pretty much becomes a boss fight for the player to kill. Other than that, Grigori's canon fate is unknown. We don't know if Ravenholm was or wasn't in proximity of the Citadel collapse, as after all, the Citadel did have a huge radius, but Ravenholm is also quite...
Ravenholm is like the #1 best chapter in all the Half-Life series. That man right there. Like, man, that man right there. Yo, he's a GOAT, man. That level was scary. I mean, if you're under the age of 7, I guess it could be scary for some people, or if you're just a bit squeamish to gore.
away from it, so we're not quite sure. And, well, if he's out of range, then I guess he's just doing Grigori things and killing zombies and making a living. And if he was in range, well,
Audio cut.
Odessa Cubbage only briefly appeared during Highway 17, where he, quote-unquote, helped defend New Little Odessa. It is assumed that he has at least some ranking in the Resistance, given the fact that he has a whole little town named after him. And given he has an unknown fate, it is possible he could return, though I think it's unlikely. And I don't think anyone really cares about Odessa Cubbage returning. The Odessa Cubbage fans, of course. It's just, I don't think most people would care if he returned or not. In fact, I think some people actually would care if he did return, as in they wouldn't want him to return. So a couple more minor characters here for Half-Life 2. We have Hedy Lamar, which is Kleiner's pet headcrab, which, fun fact, is they...
We do not know if Hedy Lamar will either return or not. It's pretty much obvious, because if you do the Noam Chomsky like achievement, he's gonna be into space, all right, with Wheatley himself. It is very clear that he'll probably be with Wheatley. All right. I'm sorry to all y'all Hedy Lamar fans, all right, but unfortunately, I don't think Lamar's returning. Chat. He's gonna be stuck in space forever.
Named after a real person. I know that for like a really long time. Also, I just assumed that their name was just Lamar. I thought Hedy was a nickname that Kleiner gave it because it's a head crab and Hedy, you know. So yeah, a little fun fact for you guys there. Lamar was last seen in episode 2, hopping into a rocket used to close the Combine super portal. So I'm pretty sure Lamar is dead, considering how it went into the Combine super portal. And yeah, I mean, hey, if the gnome is also in that rocket, so if the gnome survives, then hey, maybe Hedy does too. But of course, that's also assuming that the gnome survives, which we have absolutely no clue. I mean, most likely, I think that rocket's just gone.
R.I.P.
Lamar, I don't think will
R.I.P.
be causing
Lamar.
problem anymore. Which, I mean, hey, Barney won't complain. Leon is a minor Resistance member who was in contact with Alex at the start of Highway 17, or technically at
We
the
might
end
see
of
Leon.
the chapter We Don't Go to Ravenholm.
We
It's
might
at
see
that
Leon.
weird transitional period right after.
Let's hope that we get our boy Winston in as well. Let's hope that Winston, chat. We need to get Winston, man. We have to get Winston. Please, I don't want to be told that Winston has been hit. All right, I want to know if he's alive or not. Please, just tell me if Winston's alive. Please, please.
Triage Dawn plays. He isn't seen at all after this point, and hopefully made it to White Forest along with everyone else, but who knows? After all, the Combine did slowly start sweeping through the whole coast area, as you can see throughout a couple of the buildings during Highway 17 and Sand Traps. So unfortunately, it is likely that he, and maybe Odessa Cubbage, were killed in some Combine attack along the coast, which is unfortunate, but we technically don't have any confirmation of that, at least not yet. Next is Sandy and Laszlo, who were last seen at the midpoint of Sand.
Poor Laszlo, man. Chat low, man. Dude. Chat, Laszlo and Winston were the GOATs. Laszlo and Winston. We had to avenge Laszlo and Winston, chat. We had to avenge them.
And Traps, where Laszlo, the greatest mind of our generation, meets his tragic end to an end. Sandy stays behind with Laszlo afterwards, and it is unknown what happens to them. Though, given the circumstances, I don't think Sandy's going to be alive. Whether it's because of too much grief felt over the loss of his friend, or maybe it's just the fact that, he's standing on a huge antline pool. Who knows? The all-knowing Vortigaunt is only briefly seen in an out-of-the-way spot at the end of Water Hazard. This Vord says a bunch of deep lore stuff, but I doubt they'll return. Maybe another Vord doing a similar thing, but I don't think it's going to be the exact same one. It would be cool if it were to be, but...
And pretty sure, I think he was probably the only one who didn't board on a train. Pretty sure that he was probably the only one who never came to White Forest.
These are Vortigaunt's ended today. I don't think at any point a Vortigaunt returned or even had a proper name. Well, actually, no, there was a couple that had a proper name. But you get the point. The Consoling couple is a recurring couple throughout Half-Life 2 and its episodes a bit. Most recently in Episode 2 in the Outlands. Now, considering their Easter egg-like status, it's quite possible Valve will continue the tradition and continually put them sitting next to each other on a couch, trying to console each other. Which, I mean, assuming that at least it is the same couple every single time, which, I mean, I guess there's no confirmation that it is, but I think it's pretty...
We see... Well, we don't know if they're dead or alive or not, because we get to see a corpse that looks exactly like that one. But we also get to see that in Episode 2, which the just confuses me, dude. We don't know if he's...
I mean, hey, it would be
dead
kind of
or
cool
alive.
to see them. I mean, after all, you do see him very early on to Half-Life 2, and getting to see, you know, minor, like, citizens and resistance members surviving throughout, like, the entire whole, like, uprising and part of the game and everything, you know, from start of Half-Life 2 to Half-Life 3, that is pretty cool, if you ask me. Also, we have Ossian Vance, who is the mother of Alex Vance and wife to Eli Vance.
He was the... That picture and Alex was the only thing that Eli carried out of Black Mesa.
We are already aware of her fate through Eli's dialogue, which is the only place she's even mentioned, although there is a couple photos of her. I'd expect more mentions of her in the future, especially considering the importance of the other two Vance family members. I wouldn't be surprised if the G-Men were to take advantage of this fact in order to keep Alex or Eli in check, or even just use it as some sort of bargain point, who knows. Either way, I think Ossian could easily have some level of significance or a role to play in Half-Life 3. However, I don't know if that's something they would do or not. That being said, totally possible. And with that, we have actually finished Half-Life 2, and now we can move on to the Lost Coast. The Fisherman is the only character that appears in this game. And, well, due to the Lost Coast non-canon status, it's unclear if the Fisherman himself is even canon. Now, I'd like to say more here, but what else is there to say? He's the Fisherman. He's literally just here so that the Lost Coast makes...
Yeah, but here's the thing. We do not actually... I feel like... Chat, I've been getting theories that Fisherman was the only person who actually was like a real person to Gordon. Chat, I don't know. I've been getting theories that because the Fisherman quite literally sees Gordon like at the end of Lost Coast. The Fisherman, when he sees Gordon blacking out, the Fisherman goes like, "Huh? Well, where are you going?" "Oh, I know. You're probably doing something. Nice knowing you." And then it just cuts to the menu screen. Chat, the Fisherman is probably the number one character who actually sees what Gordon is seeing.
Like a little bit of sense. So maybe it's okay for him to only exist in this one-off game that may or may not even be canon. Half-Life 2 Episode 1 contains no new characters, so we're just going to move straight on over to Episode 2. Sorry about that. Dr. Arne Magnusson was last seen alongside Kleiner, although he was over a video call, still doing some post-launch calculations, it seems.
He was on Skype with Kleiner.
Seeing as how Magnuson was also near the site of Eli's death / Alex's hiring, Magnuson will most definitely play a role and appear in Half-Life 3. There's not much more to say here, unfortunately, and I think the likelihood and role he'll play in Half-Life 3 will be just the same amount as Dr. Kleiner. So it all comes down really to how much Dr. Kleiner plays a role.
I have hope.
Defend
I have
Alex
hope for
alongside-
Griggs and Sheckley. I have hope for Griggs and Sheckley. Griggs and Sheckley might prove useful in Half-Life 3.
Gordon and some Vortigaunt. Considering their relatively safe status and close proximity to White
Holy crap,
Forest,
we have a
I
lot.
don't think it's out of the question that they could return in Half-Life 3. And after all, they are directly mentioned characters. They didn't die in a Citadel blast. I think it's pretty
Hold on.
possible. And
Or they could be announcing the Portal movie. I don't know. I mean, sure, maybe. But if it does release, one thing sure is that I'm probably going to definitely be watching that on Netflix, right? Like lights off, grab drink, hell, grab all the snacks in my and then just place it in my room, and then just watch the Portal movie on that TV back there.
hey, I think it'd be pretty neat. I mean, I always liked these two and their dynamics with each other, though it is.
Ah, crap! I accidentally closed out the window. Hold on. Sorry about that, chat. I was trying.
Cameo type of situation. DeLone Vort is a Vortigaunt who accompanies Gordon throughout Victory Mine, getting to finally have close conversations with a Vortigaunt.
Chat. Speaking on Valve TV shows, I heard that there is a Dota TV show on Netflix. Hold on. Dota TV show, Netflix. Chat, it's a real movie. It's a real not a real movie. It's a real TV show. And here's the thing: Dota is created by the same people who made Half-Life 2, and also we quietly have Valve TV shows on Netflix. So I'm so that we will probably get more TV shows and more movies that are created by Valve on Netflix. I'm hoping to see a TF. I'm quietly hoping that they will probably. I don't think it's possible. I mean, Valve is done with TF2. I mean, Gabe Newell went say, you know what? It's like Andy when he gives his toys to Bonnie. Bonnie is quite literally the TF2 community. Gabe Newell's Andy. Here, this is my old buddy Woody. Woody is TF2. You promise you'll take care of him for me? Here you go. And then the TF2 community just starts working on custom TF2 mods. And boom, TF2 is saved. Which means we get new weapons, technically.
Made this experience really neat.
Chat, type in TF2 if you guys think we actually saved TF2.
So I'd like it to be continued in some way, preferably with DeLone Vort in Half-Life 3, but honestly, any Vortigaunt's cool. Uriah is the other main Vortigaunt ally in this game, briefly appearing in the White Forest. Uriah is Magnuson's assistant, so it's presumable that they'll also return alongside the rest of the Resistance and Magnuson in Half-Life 3. There's not much to say about Uriah, although considering how he's a Vortigaunt wearing a lab...
What is this? Expect the new wave of bots in TF2. Not to worry, man, because we already got it prepared. You see, a couple of months ago, I seen a video on YouTube named "How We Defended a TF2 Server from a Bunch of Sniper Bots," and how they did that is by getting a bunch of engineers, placing a bunch of sentries and dispensers near all of the entries in their base, and they would not put the intel into their base until all the bots have rage quitted because they're too stubborn to know that they can't get past a bunch of entries. There's still hope, all right? We can fight back these bots, chat. We can fight back these.
Code. I feel like them doing that means that he might play some larger role, just based on the fact that he seems to be important. Other than
So
just
just to let you know, you should always play during daytime because there's less
the
bots
fact that
there.
he's Magnuson's assistant.
But
And
if you
after
play at
all,
nighttime,
I love
there's
getting to
a
communicate
bunch
with
of
Vortigons
bots.
in these games. I'd love some more Vortigons appreciation going forward. And finally, we have Mert, or MIRT.
Mert.
Is the name of the resistance technician who helps
Mert.
Alex and Gordon fix the muscle car on their journey to White Forest. For similar reasons to Griggs and Sheckley, his return is possible, but the chance of it is unknown and entirely up to the writers at Valve. And actually, unlike Griggs and Sheckley, Mert actually seems to have his own unique voice to him. Maybe he will actually make a return game in the series. Half-Life Alex. And if at this point you haven't already been spoiled for Half-Life Alex somehow, well, now you're really gonna be, because now we're really talking about this game. So starting off here, we have Olga. Olga is a friend of Alex, as we see them talking early on in the game. Olga is presumably part of the Resistance as well, or at least in some way an associate. She's never brought up again after this point, so her fate is completely unknown. That being said, I feel it may be unlikely that she returns in Half-Life 3.
Yeah, it might be.
Although considering how she does seem to be Alex's
Olga
friend,
again.
and Half-Life 3 will presumably focus on Alex in some way, I think it would be kind of cool or something for her to return. I mean, there is, however, that whole 5 years of unknown time period
She didn't
between
really play a
Half-Life
character
Alex
in
and
Half-Life
episodes.
Alex. She
So,
only
who
appeared
knows
once,
if she even
and then
made
that's
that
it,
far.
chat.
Next is Russell, and Russell is an interesting case. He's last seen talking to Eli back at his lab at the end of Chapter 10 in Half-Life Alyx. He's shown to be a close friend to Advances, so his absence from later games certainly doesn't make much sense.
We might see him.
As much as I'd love to see him return, I unfortunately have to assume that he died at some point in the 5-year gap. And I'm not just saying this because he's old, I'm also just saying it this time because, well, I just feel like in some way he would have even been mentioned or something, and of course, that could just be another case of retconning, which this series really loves to do. This series loves retcons. Valve love their retcons. But moving on to Half-Life Alyx, our final Vortigaunt of this video is Gary, who appears in a short scene at the end of Chapter 2 before returning to save Eli in the next one. Gary escorts Eli back to Russell, but other than that, his fate is just as ambiguous as Russell's. We don't even know if Gary actually even made it to Russell's base, and there's no mention of it, but it's possible that he could have just left Eli, and who knows. I mean, in all truth, though, in the middle of the city, a Vortigaunt, such as Gary, would easily be detected and, well, presumably killed, considering the whole Combine stance on Vortigaunts thing. But he already did make it to the area where he does save Eli Vance, so maybe he can dodge the Combine or something. Who knows? Still, I think it's unlikely he'll return, especially considering the fact that he's already severely damaged and injured by the time you find him. So it wouldn't be unreasonable to say that he might not have made it that far. And now our penultimate character of this video is Larry. Larry is only seen in the chapter Jeff, where he gives Alex some advice on Jeff. He stays behind at the distillery, and considering how he's not part of the Resistance, I think it's most likely that he won't return. And also possible that he may have returned in the City 17 quarantine zone, in which case, if he survived to the Citadel collapse, he was evaporated. And if he died sooner than that, that would also make sense considering he's in the quarantine zone. And I think it's pretty clear that he's already meant to just kind of be a one-off character.
So
he's meant to explain Jeff to the player, and Really nothing more than that. So I don't think we should expect a return from him. And by the way, I'm just gonna say this now. No, I'm not gonna be talking about Jeff. He doesn't count as a character. And even then, you see him die at the end of Half-Life Alyx.
We don't even know.
Or I guess you could leave him alive, but he's still just trapped in a trash compactor.
Like-
and before you say it, yes, he could return as like an enemy type in the future. However, Jeff only works as well as he does because it's VR. If you took Jeff and put him in a non-VR setting, he just would not be that fun. Point is, Jeff isn't going to return. And okay, I literally said I wasn't going to talk about Jeff, and here I am talking about Jeff. So there you go. If you wanted me to talk about Jeff, there you go. That's what you get. Let's talk about the actual final character now. That being the scientist. It is unknown who exactly she is, other than the fact that she seems to be part of the Combine, as she is seen talking to an advisor. Now, this is a personal theory of mine, but I like to assume that this is
get to
Colette.
see her face, but why
As it clears up two ambiguous
why does that
ends,
shadow kind of
aka
look like
what
Judith
happens to
Mossman?
Colette Green and who is
almost?
the scientist? And yeah, this is completely baseless speculation over the fact that it's possible. Yeah, well, like, it would be cool, after all. I mean, they're both scientists, so who knows? I mean, originally, the scientist was meant to be their own character called Han, I believe, in the original scripts and, well, the original just version of Half-Life Alyx, but it was changed. And she still is only known as, like, the scientist at the end of the day. So it seems to me that they intentionally made this scientist character
named that.
ambiguous rather than being their own character, which tells me that it actually might be more likely that it is Colette. But like I said, that's just theory, that's speculation. That comes from me. That doesn't come from anything. Choose to believe it or not. Up to you. Then with that, that concludes the video. I hope you have had your brains refreshed on the state of every Half-Life character. Sorry this video ended up being kind of long. I really didn't think that talking about Half-Life characters would be just long. I thought this would be like a 20-minute video, tops. But yeah, so I'm 90% sure I got everyone. If there was anyone I missed or should mention, tell me in the comments and I'll try to address it later. Or maybe I'll pin your comment. Doesn't matter. The point is, I'm pretty sure I got everyone or anyone who actually should matter. Like I said, Jeff doesn't count. But yeah, I've got nothing left to say. So I've been Not Demo, and I'll see ya when I see ya.
All right, chat. That was where is every Half-Life character? Hold on. Where is every character in Half-Life currently? Shout out to Not Demo. Be sure you check out his channel, subscribe to him, you know. Anyways, chat, that is the end of day 1. See you tomorrow on day 2. In the meantime, wait, hold on, no, actually. Hold on, chat, actually. In the meantime, this is really good enough.